10 Stoic rules that will transform your life. Rule 1. Control what you can. Let go of the rest. Some things are up to us and some things are not. Epictetus. This simple line is the foundation of the entire Stoic worldview. It's not just a quote, it's a compass, a way to navigate chaos with calm and courage. We spend much of our lives trying to control things that were never truly ours to command. Other people's opinions, outcomes, the future, the past. We stress over delays, worry about rejection, fear uncertainty. But Stoicism reminds us, none of that belongs to you. The only things that are truly yours are your thoughts, your choices, and your actions. Epictetus calls these things up to us. Your attitude, your response, your integrity, these are within your control, always. The rest is external. You can influence, but never own. And the more you try to control the uncontrollable, the more frustrated and powerless you feel. But here's the paradox. The moment you let go of what you can't control, you become powerful. Instead of wasting energy on changing others, you redirect it towards shaping yourself. Instead of reacting to life's storms, you learn to anchor your peace. You begin to live with intention, not in reaction. Imagine two people facing the same setback, a job rejection, an argument, a lost opportunity. One rages, complains, spirals into anxiety. The other pauses, breathes, reflects. Can I change this? If not, what can I learn from it? What's my next best move? That second person isn't passive. They're powerful because they focused on the one battlefield they can actually win, their own mind. This doesn't mean giving up. Stoicism is not resignation, it's redirection. You still act, you still care, but you don't attach your peace to the outcome. You do your best and then you release the rest. And slowly, this becomes freedom. Freedom from being shaken by every comment, every failure, every twist of fate. Freedom to walk through life with clarity because you know what's yours and what isn't. So when life throws you into the unexpected, remember Rule 1. Control what you can. Let go of the rest. Because in that simple choice lies your transformation from a life of stress and struggle to a life of calm strength. And that is where true Stoicism begins. Rule 2, choose your reaction. You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this and you will find strength. Marcus Aurelius. In life, we are constantly met with situations we didn't ask for. Unexpected delays, harsh words, bad news, difficult people. Most of us instinctively react with frustration, anger, sadness, or blame. But Marcus Aurelius, the Stoic emperor, offered a powerful reminder. Events don't disturb us, our judgments about them do. At first, this idea seems radical. If someone insults you, how can you not be disturbed? If you lose something dear, how can you not grieve? But Marcus wasn't denying emotion. He was revealing a deeper truth. Between what happens and how we feel, there is space. And in that space, we are free. The mind is the true battlefield. Marcus believed that true strength is not found in controlling the world, but in mastering the one thing that is always yours, your mind. We don't choose what storms come into our lives, but we do choose how we meet them. When you understand this, everything changes. You begin to realize that frustration is not in the traffic jam, it's in your interpretation. That offense is not in the insult, it's in your decision to take it personally. That anxiety is not in the uncertainty, it's in your resistance to it. This doesn't mean we become passive or emotionless. It means we become authors of our response instead of victims of circumstance. Inner authorship, not outer control. So much of our suffering comes from trying to control what we can't, how others behave, what the world gives us, how quickly things change. Stoicism flips this mindset. It asks, why waste energy on what's beyond you when your real power lies within you? You can't stop people from misunderstanding you. You can't guarantee success or praise, but you can choose how you show up. You can choose your tone, your values, your attitude, and that choice, that inner authorship, is where real transformation begins, the power to pause. Choosing your reaction doesn't mean you'll never feel hurt or afraid. It means that instead of being driven by emotion, you observe it, understand it, and respond with intention. That's the Stoic power. Not to be unmoved, but to be uncontrolled. It takes practice, but each time you pause before reacting, each time you decide to lead your emotions instead of being led by them, you reinforce that freedom. Marcus Aurelius ruled an empire, but the only kingdom he truly tried to conquer was himself. His lesson is clear. Your peace does not depend on what happens, it depends on what you make of it. So, when life challenges you, and it will, remember, you may not choose the event, but you always choose the meaning. And in that meaning lies your strength. Rule 3, don't be a slave to emotion. A man who is a slave to his passions is more enslaved than one in chains. Seneca. We often think of slavery as something imposed from the outside, chains, commands, control. But for the Stoics, the deepest form of slavery comes from within. To be ruled by your emotions, to lash out in anger, collapse in fear, chase desire without thought, is to lose your sovereignty. You become a servant to every fleeting feeling, every external trigger. Seneca warned us about this hidden bondage. He saw how unchecked emotion can cloud reason, distort judgment, and drag us away from what is truly good. And so the Stoic rule is simple, yet profound. Don't be a slave to emotion. The storm inside. Life will always bring challenges. People will provoke, events will surprise, loss will hurt. But what matters most is not the chaos outside. It's the calm you preserve inside. Being Stoic does not mean feeling nothing. It means feeling wisely, not suppressing emotion, but mastering it. Anger may rise, but you pause before reacting. Fear may whisper, but you don't obey it blindly. Excitement may call, but you question if it's aligned with virtue. This, to the Stoics, is true strength, to remain centered in the face of emotion, not controlled by it. Freedom through self-mastery. Seneca believed that a wise person is free no matter their circumstances, because their mind is not ruled by impulse. Even a slave in chains, if he controls himself, is freer than a king ruled by desire. That's the paradox of Stoicism. True freedom doesn't come from changing your environment. It comes from changing your relationship with yourself. If you're angry every time someone offends you, if you panic every time life shifts unexpectedly, if your joy depends on others' praise or your plans going perfectly, then you're not free. You're at the mercy of forces you cannot control. But if you can observe your emotions without bowing to them, if you can breathe before reacting, if you can return to reason when storms rise, then you are free, even in the middle of the storm. Emotion is not the enemy. Attachment is. Stoicism does not reject emotion, it rejects servitude. It calls us to rise above reflex, to bring awareness into every reaction, to choose response over reactivity. You are not your anger, you are not your fear, you are not your sadness. These are visitors, not rulers. Let them pass, don't serve them tea. Seneca gave us a clear warning. If you don't master your passions, they will master you. To live with dignity, clarity, and strength, you must lead your emotions, not follow them. Because the highest form of freedom is not doing whatever you feel, it's doing what's right, even when feelings try to pull you away. And that is the way of the Stoic. Rule 4, be present. Confine yourself to the present, Marcus Aurelius. There is one place where life always happens, not in the past, not in the future, but right here, in this moment. The Stoics understood this long before mindfulness became a modern trend. To them, presence wasn't a luxury, it was the very essence of wisdom. Marcus Aurelius, emperor of Rome and philosopher of the soul, wrote in his Meditations, "Confine yourself to the present." Why? Because that is all we ever truly have. The weight of past and future. Most suffering comes not from what's happening now, but from what was or what might be. We replay old conversations, we regret missed chances, we imagine future disasters, we chase distant goals, thinking peace lies on the next horizon. And in doing so, we miss the only place where change is possible. Now. To be Stoic is not to deny memory or foresight, it's to refuse to live there. The past is over. The future is not promised. Now is the only time that is real. Presence is power. To be fully present is not passive. It is active engagement with life. It means doing what's in front of you, fully, honestly, without distraction. Whether you're washing dishes or leading a team meeting, presence gives meaning to even the smallest act. A Stoic doesn't rush through life looking for the big moment. They understand every moment is a chance to live with reason, virtue, and grace. Shut the mind's habit of wandering. It's not easy to be present. The mind, like a restless child, always wants to wander, but you can train it gently, patiently. Marcus Aurelius himself confessed how often his thoughts drifted, yet he kept reminding himself, return to the moment. Do what is in front of you. The rest is not your concern. This is not detachment. It's depth. You aren't escaping life. You are finally entering it, a new kind of wealth. Modern life chases quantity, more time, more goals, more tasks. Stoicism values quality, deep, intentional presence in the time you already have. That's the real wealth, to wake up and truly live this hour, this breath, this day. Final reminder, you don't need to fix your past. You don't need to control the future. All you need to do is show up fully and clearly to this moment, because life isn't waiting for you somewhere else. It's happening now, and it always will be. So pause, breathe, focus. Confine yourself to the present. Rule 5, don't expect, accept Epictetus. Do not seek for things to happen as you wish, but wish for them to happen as they do. We've all been there, hoping things would go one way, only to watch them turn the other. A plan falls through. A person lets us down. Life takes a sharp turn we didn't anticipate. And in that gap between what we wanted and what actually happened, suffering grows. Epictetus, the Stoic teacher who once lived as a slave, offered a radical idea. Stop trying to force the world to fit your expectations. Instead, align your will with reality. Expectations are fragile. When we build expectations, we often do so unconsciously. We expect people to treat us fairly. We expect plans to succeed. We expect life to reward our efforts. And when it doesn't, we're shocked, hurt, or angry. But the Stoic asks, why are you surprised? The world is not obligated to behave according to your inner script. How people will act from their own nature. Events will unfold as they must. To expect otherwise is to invite disappointment. Acceptance is not weakness. Many confuse acceptance with giving up, but that's a misunderstanding. Acceptance is not passivity, it's clarity. It's choosing to see the world as it is rather than how you wish it would be. It's adjusting your sails to the wind, not demanding the wind change direction. When Epictetus said to wish for things to happen as they do, he was offering a path to peace. Because in that moment of full acceptance, you stop resisting life and start cooperating with it. Pain comes from resistance. Imagine holding a rope that's being pulled hard in the other direction. The tighter you grip, the more it burns. Letting go doesn't mean you lost. It means you stopped hurting yourself. The same applies to life. When we resist reality by demanding it change or lamenting that it didn't, we suffer unnecessarily. The Stoic way is to look at what's happened, breathe deeply, and say, this is what it is. Now, how can I move forward with strength? To accept what happens is not to approve of it, nor to like it. It is simply to stop fighting what cannot be changed. From that place of mental stillness, clarity arises, and from clarity, wise action can follow. When you accept what is, you reclaim your power, not over the world, but over yourself. Life will not always follow your script. People won't always meet your expectations. Circumstances will shift, plans will fail, and change will come, sometimes painfully. But as Epictetus taught, your freedom lies not in controlling the world, but in mastering your response. Don't expect, accept, and walk through life not as one who demands, but as one who understands. Rule 6, think before you speak. Speech is a mirror of the soul. As a man speaks, so is he. Seneca. In a world overflowing with noise, words have become cheap. We speak quickly, often without thought. We react instead of reflect. But for the Stoics, especially Seneca, speech was never something to throw around carelessly. It was sacred, an extension of the soul. Seneca believed that the way we speak reveals who we truly are. Words are not decorations or tools of manipulation. They are reflections of the inner self. And just as you wouldn't want your soul to be seen as reckless or shallow, you shouldn't allow your speech to be either. The power of thoughtful silence. The Stoic does not fear silence. In fact, they embrace it. To the untrained mind, silence is awkward. It feels like something is missing. But to the Stoic, silence is clarity. It is the space where wisdom forms. Seneca often reminded his students that speaking less gives the mind time to think, and thinking is where true strength begins. Before speaking, the Stoic asks, is this necessary? Is this helpful? Is this kind? Most words fail this test, and that's why the wise often speak less but mean more. Words can build or break, so choose wisely. Seneca knew that words can comfort or cut, uplift or destroy. Once spoken, they cannot be taken back. And because of this, the wise man guards his tongue the way a soldier guards a fortress. A Stoic doesn't speak to impress. They speak to express truth. They speak with care, with clarity, and above all, with self-control. This doesn't mean suppressing your voice or walking on eggshells. It means honoring your speech the way you would honor your character, because to a Stoic, the two are one and the same. Speech and inner discipline. Speech is not just about communication. It's a form of training. Every time you pause before speaking, you practice restraint. Every time you avoid gossip, harshness, or vanity, you strengthen your character. Seneca understood that self-mastery is revealed not in big dramatic moments, but in small habits, and few habits shape your day more than how you speak. A reactive tongue is a sign of a reactive mind, but a calm voice, a careful reply, that reveals a steady soul. Speech is a mirror. What does yours reflect? In an age where people rush to say something, anything, the Stoic chooses a different path. They slow down, they listen more, and when they speak, it matters. Because wisdom doesn't shout. It speaks with calm, with purpose, and with deep respect for the power of every word. Rule 7, judge less, understand more. Whenever you are about to find fault with someone, ask yourself, what fault of mine most nearly resembles this one? Marcus Aurelius. In the heat of daily life, judgment comes easily. Someone cuts us off in traffic. A colleague misses a deadline. A friend forgets to reply. Our minds leap to conclusions, careless, lazy, rude. But Marcus Aurelius, the Roman emperor and Stoic philosopher, taught a deeper response. He urged us not to condemn, but to reflect. When you're about to criticize someone, pause. Ask, have I ever done something like this? This small shift, from judgment to self-inquiry, holds tremendous power. It's not about excusing bad behavior, but about replacing harshness with humility. We all carry flaws. We all have moments we're not proud of. Anger, forgetfulness, selfishness, fear. They live in others because they live in us. When we recognize our shared imperfection, empathy awakens. The mirror of others. To Marcus, others are mirrors. When we react strongly to someone's mistake, it often reflects something unresolved in ourselves. Why does someone's arrogance bother you so much? Why does their silence feel like rejection? The wise don't just react, they observe their reactions. They trace the discomfort back to its source, our own ego, wounds, or expectations. Instead of saying, they are wrong, a Stoic asks, what is this teaching me about myself? Understanding replaces judgment. Judgment is easy, it distances us. We stand above, point fingers, and feel momentarily superior. Understanding is harder. It requires us to come closer, to imagine what it's like to be the other person, to ask, what pressure are they under? What pain might they be carrying? Have I ever made a similar mistake? Marcus Aurelius knew that true transformation doesn't come from punishment, but from compassion. We grow when others extend grace to us. We grow even more when we learn to extend it ourselves. The Stoic doesn't seek perfection in others or in themselves. They seek honesty, they seek growth, and that growth begins with humility. If you expect the world to behave flawlessly, you will constantly be disappointed, and you will likely disappoint others too. But if you expect humanness, flawed, complex, ever learning, you'll meet life with a softer heart and a clearer mind. Marcus Aurelius ruled an empire, but he ruled himself first. He understood that how you see others says everything about who you are inside. So the next time judgment rises, let it be a signal, not to condemn, but to reflect. You don't lose your standards by understanding someone. You elevate your character by choosing wisdom over reaction. Judge less, understand more. That's how a Stoic leads, with reason, empathy, and grace. Rule 8. Practice voluntary discomfort mentally. Set aside a certain number of days during which you shall be content with the scantiest and cheapest fare. Seneca. There is a quiet kind of strength that comes from being able to live with less. In a world where comfort is marketed as the highest good, the Stoics remind us of something radically different. To deliberately step away from ease, not because suffering is noble, but because discomfort reveals who we truly are beneath the layers of convenience. Seneca, the Roman philosopher, urged his readers to occasionally live as though they had lost everything, not to punish themselves, but to prepare the mind. When you voluntarily embrace discomfort, you teach yourself that survival does not depend on luxury. You realize that most of your fears are illusions, fabricated by your attachment to things, habits, and expectations. When you eat plain food, wear simple clothes, or sleep on a hard floor, not out of necessity, but by choice, you discover that your well-being is far more resilient than you thought. Seneca's advice is deeply philosophical, though it sounds practical. His words are not a call to asceticism, but to mental resilience. He writes, "Do you suppose that you're preparing yourself for poverty? No, for fortune. The idea isn't to rehearse hardship because it's coming, but to become mentally untouchable if it does." This kind of voluntary training builds what the Stoics called ataraxia, a state of unshakable inner peace. Marcus Aurelius echoed this when he wrote, "Ask yourself, is this thing essential? The less you depend on, the freer you are." Freedom in the Stoic view isn't about having more, but needing less. Discomfort, practiced wisely, strips away the unnecessary. It trains the soul to be content, not through abundance, but through clarity. This rule isn't about living a hard life forever. It's about reminders, periodic grounding, a philosophical exercise. Much like strengthening the body through resistance, we strengthen the mind through moments of chosen difficulty. This could mean fasting for a day, walking instead of driving, or disconnecting from social media. The act itself isn't the point. The awareness it cultivates is. In modern terms, we might call this mental anti-fragility. It's not about being immune to discomfort, but growing stronger because of it. Every voluntary moment of restraint, every instance where you say, "I can do without," adds a quiet brick to your inner fortress. In a culture that chases dopamine, Stoicism offers stillness. It tells us that the good life is not found in always feeling good, but in being unshaken when things go wrong. And to be unshaken, one must occasionally step away from the soft pillow of certainty and into the honest silence of enough. So once in a while, walk the harder path, not to suffer, but to remember. You are stronger than you think, and comfort was never the goal, freedom was. Rule 9, live with virtue, not popularity. Source, Marcus Aurelius. Waste no more time arguing what a good man should be. Be one. In a world where external validation often overshadows internal values, Marcus Aurelius offers a quiet rebellion. Do not argue about what is good. Be good. The Stoic path is not about being liked, admired, or followed. It is about being right with yourself, in private and in public, even when no one applauds. To the Stoics, virtue, not popularity, is the highest aim. Virtue is not a performance. It is a lived alignment between thought, action, and principle. It means acting with justice, courage, wisdom, and temperance, even when no one is watching, especially when no one is watching. For Marcus, the pursuit of virtue is not theoretical. He saw it as a practical, daily effort, choosing to respond with patience, to speak with honesty, to serve with humility. Epictetus reinforces this mindset when he says, "If you wish to improve, be content to be thought foolish and stupid." The Stoic does not bend for the sake of reputation. In fact, the more one grows inwardly, the less concerned one becomes with what others think. You stop playing the exhausting game of image and applause. You realize applause is fleeting and virtue is eternal. Seneca adds to this idea with clarity. It is not the man who has too little, but the man who craves more, that is poor. Replace material craving with craving for attention or approval, and the wisdom still holds. The person who constantly needs others to approve of them is spiritually poor, dependent on forces beyond their control. The Stoic strives to be inwardly whole, not outwardly adored. In today's world of social media where likes and followers have become new currencies of worth, this principle feels almost radical. But that's the Stoic invitation, to measure your life not by attention, but by intention. Who are you when no one is watching? Would you still be kind if no one praised you for it? Would you still tell the truth if it cost you approval? Virtue requires consistency, not charisma. It asks that we choose what is right over what is easy, what is just over what is popular. It's not always glamorous. Sometimes it means saying no when everyone says yes. Sometimes it means walking away from comfort to honor your conscience. But in that quiet, in that integrity, the soul becomes unshakable. Living with virtue means you no longer need to prove who you are. You simply are. You let your actions speak. You let your choices reveal your principles. And you understand, popularity may rise and fall, but character remains. The Stoic doesn't strive to be seen. They strive to be true. And in that truth, find a life that is deeply free. Rule 10. Remember that life is short. You act like mortals in all that you fear and like immortals in all that you desire. Seneca. We live as if time is endless, yet fear death as if it waits at every corner. This paradox is what Seneca so sharply exposes in his words. We postpone what matters, chase what doesn't, and act as though we are guaranteed a tomorrow. But the truth is, life is fleeting and everything changes the moment we accept that. To the Stoics, the contemplation of mortality is not morbid, it is awakening. In On the Shortness of Life, Seneca writes, "It is not that we have a short time to live, but that we waste a lot of it." He reminds us that it's not the number of years that counts, but how we fill them. A life can be long in days, yet empty in depth. But a short life, lived with clarity and intention, is more than enough. Marcus Aurelius echoed this when he wrote in his Meditations, "You could leave life right now. Let that determine what you do, say, and think." This is not a call to panic, but to presence. When you remember that life is short, small grievances lose their weight. You stop procrastinating on what matters. You stop chasing things that offer distraction but not fulfillment. Knowing that you are mortal doesn't make life smaller, it makes it sharper. It draws you into the now. It gives your actions urgency, not haste. It teaches you to say yes with sincerity and no with courage. You begin to live deliberately, no longer drifting through routine, but choosing how you spend each day, because you finally understand each day is not infinite. Epictetus, too, offers guidance on this truth. "I cannot escape death, but at least I can escape the fear of it." Death, for the Stoic, is not to be feared, it is to be understood. It is a part of nature, part of the same order that gave you life. Once accepted, death loses its grip on you. It no longer drives you into anxiety, it invites you into meaning. This awareness does something powerful. It clarifies. You stop waiting for the right time to be kind. You stop measuring success in numbers and start valuing it in peace. You spend time more wisely, guard your attention more fiercely, and love more freely. Not because you're afraid, but because you're awake. In a world of noise and endless distraction, remembering that life is short brings you back to what's real. It teaches you that now is the only certainty you will ever own. So live with purpose, speak with honesty, love with courage, because one day all this will pass, and the only question will be, did you truly live? Stoicism is a way of seeing, not just living. These 10 rules are not commands, they're perspectives. Through them, the Stoic transforms not the world, but the way they walk through it. Stoicism was never meant to be a rigid list of commandments. It is not a doctrine carved in stone or a life checklist to complete. Rather, it is a way of seeing, a quiet shift in perspective that reorients how we move through the world. These 10 rules, though framed as principles, are really invitations to look inward, to choose clarity over chaos, and to walk gently yet firmly through the turbulence of life. The Stoics never promised that the world would be easy, fair, or even bearable. Marcus Aurelius wrote not to escape the burdens of leadership and suffering, but to remain grounded in virtue despite them. Epictetus, once a slave, taught not how to change circumstance, but how to change one's relationship to it. And Seneca, a man of politics and privilege, still returned, again and again, to the fragility of fortune and the strength of philosophy. They understood something timeless. You do not control the world, but you can choose how to see it. That vision, rooted in reason, shaped by virtue, and sustained by acceptance, is the Stoics' true strength. These teachings are not about suppression, but transformation, not about withdrawal, but engagement, with presence and purpose. Each rule reflects a deeper lens, to control only what's yours, to choose response over reaction, to stand firm in discomfort, to speak thoughtfully, to live with virtue, even when unseen, and to carry the knowledge of mortality not as a burden, but as a guide. Stoicism doesn't ask you to reject the world. It asks you to navigate it wisely, to not be owned by approval, shaken by failure, or blinded by success. It offers a still point in the spinning chaos, a kind of inner anchoring in a drifting world. And that is where transformation quietly happens, not in changing the storms, but in learning to sail through them differently. These 10 rules are like windows, each offering a different view into the Stoic soul. But taken together, they don't create a cage. They open a path where peace is not the absence of struggle, but the presence of clarity, where freedom is not granted by the world, but forged within. To follow Stoicism is to walk the same life as before, but with different eyes that see pain as a teacher, time as sacred, and virtue as the only true wealth. So let the world be what it is, loud, unpredictable, beautiful, cruel. The Stoic does not flinch. They breathe, they choose, they continue. The world may not change, but with Stoic wisdom you do. quietly, steadily, and completely.